Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to open up a Mill Hill kit and see what's inside. If you've been watching my channel recently, you probably already know what's in these kits because I've showed them many times, but maybe you're watching me for the first time. What I love about these kits is they come with everything that you need to get started and to finish. So we'll start with this little Wendy's cat because I know it doesn't have a lot of floss in it, so we'll be able to separate it real quick. So what you get in these kits is a piece of perforated paper. Most of the time it's brown perforated paper. This one happens to come with one that's painted because I think they wanted the background to be maybe just a little bit different color, but most of the time you get just the antique brown perforated paper. And if you've never worked with perforated paper, a lot of times people that haven't tried it, they think it might be difficult to work on or it might be fragile, but I don't know what this is made out of, but it's not paper. I mean, okay, it probably starts out as paper, but they have some kind of coating on it that this feels actually more like plastic than it does paper, and it's really quite durable. It is. So you get that. Okay, I had to go get a pencil because in a minute I'm just going to show you how you get started on these. But let's see what else is inside. So you get that. You get this nice little instruction booklet here. I'll try not to show you the chart. So the instructions you see show you the symbols, obviously, for the thread that you use, and these are DMC colors, so if you have a hard time sorting them, you can always look at maybe if you have a floss card or somehow want to look online to reference it, but most of the time it's pretty easy to decipher which colors are which. And then it's got the symbols for the beads, and most of the time the symbols for the beads on the chart are circular or close to it, so you know that those are the beads. And then it's just got some simple instructions for maybe how to attach the little treasure, because it always comes with a treasure of some sort, a bigger bead. So let's open this up and see what's inside. So you obviously always get the floss, and it never is sorted, so you've got to spend a little bit of time doing that. The treasure that I was talking about, it's usually just some kind of a specialized little bead. Like this one, it's a tiny little pumpkin, and they all come with that. Now, most of the time, the kits come with a magnet. Not always, though. I think sometimes they don't come with a magnet, but most of them do. So you get a magnet, and then inside this packet, you also get a needle for stitching and a beading needle. And then you get the beads. Sometimes it comes with 1 or 2 packs of beads. This one only comes with 1, and they mix the colors in there, but you usually can decipher what beads they are. Like if it comes with more than 1 pack, what'll happen is on the instructions here, there will be some asterisks. I can never say that word. That it'll say like the ones with the asterisks are in the same bag together. So you got to do a little bit of detective work to figure out kind of which beads are which, but they make it real easy because they don't put two beads that are too similar in with the same bag. So you get the beads, and like I said, the beads, the magnet, the needle for stitching, and the beading needle. Now the beading needle, well, I'll talk about that in a minute, threading the beading needle. But let's talk about the floss. All right, so you have to sort the floss. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can organize your floss. Now, this kit doesn't come with very many colors. You can see that there's black, 2 shades of purple, a green, and those look like 2 shades of orange. If you're not sure, you just look at the chart. And yes, it comes with black, dark purple, medium purple, green, and orange. So what you can do, and what I sometimes do, is I just get a note card. I like to make it double thickness because then it holds them a little bit better. Get a needle punch. And so what did we say? There's 5 colors. Okay, you just punch the needle in there, separate the floss, I just fold it in half, make a loop, and if you've never done a lark's head knot, it's pretty simple. Just put it in the loop in through there, through the hole that you punched, and then you just, when you pull it through, you fold it over like that. Okay, let's try that again. Fold it over and grab the floss through like that, and then you can just draw your little symbol and put all your floss on, and you can organize it that way. And then when you want to take one of the pieces of floss off, let's grab a needle out of here. When you want to take a piece of floss off, it's pretty simple. You just grab, I hope you guys can see this okay. Just grab a piece like that, and very gently, sometimes you have to kind of pull it to keep from knotting, but just very gently pull that off. And that's why I like to double up the cardstock, because if you start to pull on this too much, if just one, if you don't double it up, sometimes you can just rip that off, poke a hole in it. Okay, so super easy. If you have one of these needle, I always call it a needle organizer. It's a floss organizer, but if you have one of these that I've actually been using recently for my Mill Hill kits, it's super easy, because then you can just, like I already got my pumpkin project going on here. This is my football project, but you can turn it over and you can do another project. Then, and you get lots of replacements with those that you can use for adding more symbols. But I like it because of the Mill Hills. You can put like maybe 4 or even 5 different projects on here. But note cards work just as nicely, or whatever method you prefer. So that's what it all comes with. And when you get started, you just take your perforated paper, turn it over to the back side, get a straight edge, which I don't have one out here with me, so we'll just use the note card as a straight edge. And you go from one corner to another, and you draw a pencil mark. Go from this corner and do a pencil mark so that you have an X marked on the back, and that dot right there is where you start your center stitch. And then you just cross stitch. You do all the cross stitches first, then the back stitching, and then you add the beading. And I have showed in many videos examples of the beading, so I'm not going to do that now. If you really want to see it, I can just let me know and I'll point you to the right direction. I was going to say a little bit of, I was going to mention something about beading, these beading needles, because they are tricky. Let me get the beading needle out of here. Now, what Mill Hill suggests doing, okay, I mean, the hole on this needle is so tiny, it can be very, very tricky. It's very tricky to get 2 strands of floss through here. It's a little bit easier to get 1 strand through, but, and what they do recommend doing, so pretty much the only time I ever lick my floss is when I have to bead one of these beading needles. But if you don't want to lick your floss, or you just, you know, have a really hard time, Mill Hill does make a beading needle threader. So let me go get that, because I actually have one. I never use it because it's never near me. So, but you can, if you work really hard at it, you can actually thread 2 threads through that eye. And I find the best way to do it is to line them up. And the reason why I like to do, well, okay, you know what? As a matter of fact, I think a lot of these kits, they call for you using 3 strands. Oh, no, that's for the stitching, so you don't have to worry about that. Yes, when you do 3 strands, that's for the stitching, and you have a bigger needle for that. But for the beading, if you really want to use make the loop start. So I find it's best to, okay, I'm not going to show you. I actually like to lick the floss because, like I said, I'm not much of a floss licker, but I have to do it for this. But if you lick the floss and then you get a pair of really sharp scissors and snip it so it has no fraying on it, and then, I know my nails look terrible, try not to look at that, then my favorite method is to just, okay, pinch that thread. You just pinch it really tight between your fingers, and then I kind of just push that in the eye of the needle right down in between my fingers so that it's kind of like that floss doesn't really have any way to go. And if you are patient enough, you can actually, like I just did, get both strands of floss through that beading needle. I'm amazed I actually did that on the first try, and I actually didn't even lick my floss this time. So, yes, there you go. Let me go get my threader, and I will be right back. Okay, so Mill Hill makes 2 threaders. So one works for the beading needles and one doesn't. So they have one that's called a needle threader cutter that looks like this, where it has the needle threader on one side and this little cutter. Now those do not work for the beading needles, they're too thick. So if you get their beading needle threaders, this is what they look like. So can you see that okay? Don't know if that's showing up, but it's very, very fine. And so what you can do, now I find that you cannot thread a beading needle with 2 strands using this, okay? So what you do is which, yeah, good luck even getting that thing through. So you put your needle on there like so. You know, you've all used a threader before. Put the thread and slide. Well, now it's not working. I don't, like I said, I rarely use this because it's never near me, but I would also hold it back here because these things they break pretty easily, but there, it worked. You just got to give it a little tug. So then it pulls the one strand through. Like I said, if you try to load 2 strands on this, it's going to be too fat and it's not going to work. So once you get that through, take your threader off of there. And then you have 1 strand through there. And what you can do, oh, I'm getting a knot. Anyway, what you could do then is you just double it over and line the 2 ends up. And then you won't be able to do the loop start because both ends will be loose back there, but you can just secure it, you know, from stitches that are already there. But I don't usually like using the 1 strand because of that, because it doesn't have the loop to be able to start it with. So I usually just work a little harder and try to get the 2 strands through. But if you just are really struggling with it and you want to use a threader, you can use 1 strand, pull it through, line up the ends, and then just start stitching that way. So, okay, I hope that helps. That's all I have for this episode. If you have any questions, I'll try to help. Just leave me a comment below. All right, talk to you later. See you soon.